Has your small business experienced property damage? Apply for the Storefront Repair Fund to receive a $2,000 grant to help cover storefront repair costs. The Seattle Office of Economic Development is investing nearly $2 million to help businesses recover from the economic impacts caused by damages to their storefronts. Grants will help cover costs such as broken windows, broken doors, broken locks, and etching on windows. Applications will remain open until all funding is awarded. Application assistance is available in multiple languages at 206-684-8090. For more information and to apply for the Storefront Repair Fund, go to gov/economic development.
Mga kaibigan, ito po si Kuya Bert Kawili.
And this is Miles Salvador from Australia.
And I'm Norb Kawili, also known as Norbcam.
Kung gusto niyo po ang latest news and events from the Philippines at yung local Filipino community, Phil-Am Radio po.
We play Filipino music and interview guests from all around the world.
And I'll keep you updated on the latest Seahawks and sports news.
Kaya always tune in, Phil-Am Radio every Tuesday, 1 to 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time on Rainier Avenue Radio App.
And in YouTube and Facebook. Salamat po.
You are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio World. Don't forget to log on www.rainieravenueradio.world.
Every time you play so smooth, makes me wanna groove, the trees let's groove.
Greetings and welcome to Seniors Matter. I'm Brenda Charles Edwards, host of the Seniors Matter Show. We're live every Friday at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on www.rainieravenueradio.world, your community radio station. You can also listen to us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch TV, and of course on the Rainier Avenue Radio App. You can tell it's Friday. It's been a long week. We feature interviews with people that provide services or have valuable information for seniors, their families, and the community. Do you need financial documents notarized? Are you a person that needs documents read to you for clarity or completion? Call me, Brenda, at Black Orchid Notary, 206-683-2636. Tell me where, I'll meet you there. Well, I'm really excited because my guest today is Miss Pamela Yasutake. She's a Seattle native performer, choreographer, and instructor. And she's here to share her story about being a member of the female tap sensation, Syncopated Ladies. But I'm more excited because she's a dear person and I love her to death. So welcome, Pamela. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's so good to see your face. I tell you. When are you coming back to town?
The day before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll see you. But
yeah,
I hope. Anyway, Pamela, I know you are a busy lady, and I really appreciate the fact that you've carved out some time for me. But just so my audience will know how busy you are, just tell them a little bit about yourself, please.
Oh, man. Putting me on the spot. Okay.
Well, okay, let's start when you were younger. Okay. How did you get involved with tap dancing? Because I know your dad wanted you to play sports, right?
Yes. So I played sports growing up. Well, my parents were big advocates on doing everything and exposing us to all things: sports, athletics, art, music, dance, everything. So we all did all the things. I played basketball, I ran track, I played softball. My dad coached me in just about every sport. I played piano. I took piano lessons from my great aunt, Felisa Hunley. Wow. I played the saxophone in the school band with Bob Nat at Washington. I tap danced at the time when I started. The studio was called Tap Central.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very small family-owned studio ran by Dr. Darylyn Smith, who was an educator and longtime educator in the Seattle Public Schools. along with her husband, Joseph Smith. And when she passed, Miss Melba Ako, and her husband, Joseph Ako, a retired lieutenant with the Seattle Police Department, they took over the studio and they kept it open and ran it under the name Northwest Tap Connection. So I spent a lot of time with them and at Northwest Tap Connection, honing my skills. And I'm really thankful to them, because had they not kept the studio open, I really don't know that I would have had a place to train and grow and develop as a young person. So they were integral in my dance career and making sure that I had a great foundation.
So when did you know that tap dancing was going to lead you to your dreams?
Well,
did you?
I didn't initially. I think I always felt comfortable in tap because, I was a little bit of a tomboy, and it was a discipline of dance that allowed me to come as I am. So I didn't have to wear tights and a tutu and be comfortable, and I could be myself. And I come from an extremely musical family. And I think it was I didn't really excel in music, playing other instruments. And I think I found a connection through tap dance. It was dance, it was movement, which I loved, and it was also music. And so that combination is what I think locked me in. But I didn't really know that a future existed with tap dance, because I really didn't see many women tap dancing. When I was a kid, I only knew of all these men.
Right.
And the only show that I really knew was Bringing the Noise, Bringing the Funk, which was the pretty much entirely male cast. So it wasn't until I moved to New York, and I wanted to keep up with my dancing, and I wanted to continue dancing. I just really didn't know what the future held. I just knew that I wanted to keep it up, which is why I wanted to go to school in New York, because New York is a mecca for many things, but also tap dance, which has shifted over the years. But certainly then when I went off to college, it was definitely the place to be if you were a tap dancer. And through my time in New York, I got connected with Chloe Arnold and her sister Maud Arnold. And Chloe had started a group of female tap dancers. And at the time, it was it was a novel idea. Where could you work? Where could you be employed? And she really just built this thing from the ground up. It started with little gigs, free gigs, lots of free stuff, lots of things. She'll tell you for 10 years, the group has been around for 20 years. For 10 years, we made no money. She invested everything. She would go work, do jobs, make money, pour it back into the company. And one of the biggest jobs that she worked was a commercial job with Beyonce. And she took that money and put it into our first viral concept video. So I started with the ladies. One of our dear sister dance friends, Melinda Sullivan, wasn't available for a gig, and Chloe asked me if I could learn the number by video and meet them in DC. And did I think that I could do that? And I was like, absolutely, I could do it. And then I freaked out for the rest of the week trying to learn the choreography.
So how many days did you have to learn it?
I had probably 5 days. No more than that for sure. I was no more than a week. On top of just the travel and all.
Right.
So that was the beginning, and the rest is history. I've been rocking tough. I think that was 2013 or 2011 maybe. I can't remember. It's so much stuff has happened since then. But
I know. Yeah. Well, talk about things happening. Do you remember something? To me, it was a big deal happening in 2016.
Yes. I was in a Broadway show. I was in Shuffle Along, which was a show about a show. So it was a show about the original Shuffle Along of 1921 and all the co-creators. And it's interesting because, our show was highlighting a moment in Black history that doesn't really get a lot of spotlight, but the original Shuffle Along is really like responsible for the Broadway that we know now, in so many different ways. And it was monumental because it was the first show with an all Black cast, all Black co-creators, and I mean, just everything. And it was wildly, wildly successful. So
It was phenomenal.
and I'm talking about the original Shuffle Along, but like our
Okay.
show, like it was very special because we got to tell these stories of these people who have been like pretty much erased throughout history. And it was, it's always great to do what you love, but it's even more like rewarding when you get to tell stories and like honor people who came before you and who paved the way. So that was a really special time, and you got to come out.
Yes, Paul and I were there, and I look those pictures quite often. I mean, that was just it was magical. It was just so wonderful to see and see you perform in your first Broadway play. I mean, that was such a big deal.
Yeah, it was. And it's funny because people used to tell me all the time, like, oh, you're going to be on Broadway. You're going to be on Broadway. And stuff, just because I tap danced.
Mhm.
And I would be like, no, because they ain't doing the type of tap dancing I'm doing on Broadway. And then I got to be in a show where we were actually doing tap dancing in the tradition that it was created in, which you do not see on Broadway all the time. And so that for me as a tap dancer, not just a performer, but as a tap dancer, that was like, like my dream came true. Like it couldn't get any better.
Right, right. And then you said, we love to do what we love. But as young people today, I'm wondering, how do they find what that love is? Because I'm working in a high school and there's just too much, or excuse me, there's not enough self-love. And
Yeah.
and these are, 9th through 12th graders. And how do they find that? How do we help them find that? Do you think?
It's tricky. It's a tricky time. Social media is not the best influence.
Mhm.
But I will say, I really attribute it to having like an incredible village and community. Oh man, it's making me emotional. I was just really fortunate. Like I had super involved grandparents, I had a super involved godmother. I had all this extended family. I had just like my siblings, I had a really vast, incredibly supportive community. That like lifted me up. And I don't know. I think it boils down to community. I think, I always felt responsible to a community.
Mhm.
And I think that was the major checks and balance in my life. Like, my parents knew the worst sides of me. There was no getting around that. You know what I mean? I never wanted to disappoint my parents, but the reality is like they see me for who I am in every aspect. But
Mhm.
I never wanted to go to church and people, my mom telling everyone I have terrible grades. That was a horrible feeling. I
Yeah.
didn't want, like the elders in the church to know that I had gotten in trouble. Like I didn't want my grandparents to know that I wasn't on top of my chores. Like
Mhm.
that was a big part of me navigating, I think, life as a young person, and also just feeling loved, because even that just means people care,
Right.
right? Like
Mhm.
if I have to explain myself to all these people all the time, my mom would say, like, because I'd say, stop telling everyone my business. And she's like, listen, when you do great,
Mhm.
We celebrate you, and you're celebrated by all these people.
Yes.
But when you're falling off the path, you need to hear from all these people who are in your corner supporting you and cheering for you when you're not doing the right things. And I think that's a big part of it. And I just feel like now, a lot of young people don't actually feel that community. They don't know what community is.
Right.
They
That's a saying that we always say, it takes a village to
Mhm.
raise the children.
Yeah.
And that is really true. And I pray every day that somehow we're going to be able to connect with our youth and be able to give them the support and the love
Yes.
that they deserve,
Yeah.
because
And
positive
sorry.
reinforcement is important. Go ahead.
Well, it is. And I think also like you have to do a little more because the influences that are telling them the opposite
Mhm.
are far more present in their life. So like, social media is like everyone's comparing what they're doing to what everyone else is doing. And like there's so much um negativity as far as like how it makes you feel personally. You know what I mean? Like everything is about like what you should be doing and comparing yourself to other people and stuff like that. And so I think there's a lot more to counter now than there was like when I was a kid. Like I didn't know what every young person across the world was achieving and accomplishing at my age. I had no idea, like unless it was like major news headlines, like I wasn't in touch with people at that same rate. And I think that makes a huge difference. And because of that, like we have to do more to actively counter those influences.
I agree with you, and I think that's part of it too when kids, end up committing suicide.
Yeah.
It's because, I'm not doing what Joe Blow was doing, and, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with you. It's just
Right.
that may not be your thing. That may not be your interest, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you need help finding your interest so you can develop it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I remember when you used to perform in Black Nativity,
Yes.
what was that, 8 seasons you did?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
8. Yeah.
Yeah, and then 2, you were the
Oh,
star.
I got to perform the role of Mary. That was very special.
Yeah, that was a great time.
Yeah.
Yes, I know people think that we here in Seattle on the West Coast may not have a lot going on, but we do have a lot of culture and art going on
We
here.
are rich in culture and art for sure. For
Yes.
sure. And I think too, I said this before and I encourage parents now. It's like get your kids involved in a lot of different things. Because socially too, like that made such a big difference for me. I never felt like I was trapped with the pressures of like one peer group. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? I had so many different outlets, so many different social outlets. I had like pockets of friends like all over. So I never felt like, oh, at school, I'm having a hard time and that's it, for me socially. Like I never felt that pressure because I just had so many different things going on and so many different social circles that it never weighed on me the same. And I think it's important just for exposure so that they can figure out what they love and what their passion is, but also just socially, I think it's really healthy for them to be a part of a lot of different activities.
And you had that village that didn't put all the stress on your parents
I
to keep
did,
this
I did, and
focus.
I know that's a big part of it too. It's like, my mom could only be a taxi so many hours out of the day. Like I had to get a ride from an uncle or an aunt or a cousin or
Mhm.
a friend.
Mhm. Yes.
Someone was helping. I mean, my parents did a majority of it, but
Mhm.
yeah, that the village really made a difference.
So, back to Syncopated Ladies.
Yes.
You went somewhere that I have been wanting to go for years,
Uh-huh.
and, you guys went to Dubai.
Oh, we did.
Tell
We
me
did.
about Dubai, please.
Um, Dubai is, first of all, it's incredible. Um, it is like it's like a fantasy, like, you know, like utopia world. Like there's a side of it that's like really, really just beautiful and lavish, and like everything is just extremely elevated, and just like it just feels like opulence like everywhere you turn your head. um it was also 107 degrees when I was there, so we were like literally melting.
Oh my goodness.
But I wish I had more of an appetite so I could have tried more food. But
I know.
everything I ate was delicious. Everywhere we went, it was beautiful. It was, and we went pretty like kind of early on, like before like it really, really blew up.
Mm.
Just as far as like being an international destination, like it was on its way, but it was still very much in the process. Like there were still pockets of the main area that just were like completely underdeveloped, that they were like doing major construction. But I thoroughly enjoyed my time in Dubai, and I think so interesting because, you know, we're like a group of women dancing, sometimes sensual, and like our style and everything's very feminine. And we just like we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know how we were going to be received. So we actually performed at a charter school in Dubai. And so we did like a kind of like a multi-day like workshop. So it was like we taught classes, we did like women empowerment stuff, and like, you know, it was like we didn't change our brand and approach. We did like everything true to form. And so, I mean, you know, we didn't go like as hard as we might go here in the States, but
I hear you.
we did still use our lens and our focus of like women empowerment and empowering young women. And it was so funny because we did like a version of our full length live, like now our full length live show, but it was a short version of that show. And it was so funny at the end to receive a standing ovation. We were like,
Wow.
you know, I mean, it was so hard to know how we were being received in the moment because they weren't like a super vocal audience. By the time we finished and we got like a standing ovation, we were like in complete shock. You know, we just didn't know. It's you go to different places in the world and you hear all these things and like the media and the news and stuff like that, about the culture. And, you know, I don't know, like, I think it's something to experience.
Oh, without a doubt.
For yourself, because, and that's, I mean, I think that's the blessing of like being able to travel for work and like see the world and stuff and have a firsthand experience of places that, you know, you may not otherwise want to experience, like based on like what you hear.
Yes.
Yeah, but Dubai in general is pretty progressive, like just because it is kind of like an international hub. And I found this very interesting. So Dubai has like every chain from like everywhere. Like every chain. Like my friends were like, "Oh, this is a chain I ate at in Taiwan. They have these in, you know, like in Japan, and like, oh, I love this. They make these blah 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 blah. This is really popular in Australia." And I'm like Dubai just has every chain that you could think of from all over the world. It's just such an interesting place. They have like a really, you know, controversial like side as well, but but I enjoyed my experience. I thought it was great. We were living like the poor woman's Sex in the City, like that's what it was giving. It was giving that.
I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. Wow. Well, you have said a mouthful with the things that you've said, and I hope that the young people that are listening, the bug will get into their ear and make them think, okay, if she can do this, I can do this. So
100%.
what do I need to do to make my dream come true? Or just get me into a path of exposure.
Yeah. And I will say too, like, it sounds very cliche, but there is no dream that is unattainable. Like I've gotten into like my manifestation, and I make my little like my boards and with my goals and everything. And like I've been doing that for years now. But it's real. Like the things that I put on for 2021, like I put on 2021, make a movie, like be in a movie. And then like March of 2021, my manager was like, hey, we got a movie. And I was like blown away because I was like, oh my gosh. But I just want to encourage, and not just young people, like everyone, like there is no dream too big and no dream that's unattainable. And it really is like you just believing in yourself, because it's all possible. And I hope that if anything, like what the takeaway would just be, like anything is possible, truly anything.
No matter what age you are.
No matter what age. No, there's no time limit. There's no age limit. There's no, it's 100% achievable, attainable. If you can think it, you can manifest it, you can make it happen. It just takes an idea and a plan and hard work. Can't leave out hard work. That's in there for sure.
Yeah. But that's okay though, because as they say, anything worth having, you usually have to get it through hard work. So
Amen.
it's
Yes.
all right.
Yep.
So, oh yeah. So the movie, you just finished it, right?
Yeah. We wrapped filming last year in October, and then we wrapped post-production in like July or August or something like that this year. And now the movie is out in select theaters and streaming on Apple TV Plus.
Now
Streaming now as of today on Apple TV Plus and in select theaters.
All right.
So if you're in Seattle, I know it's showing at the Cinemark in Bellevue.
Okay.
And a theater in Monroe and a theater in Gig Harbor. But
I'll be going to Bellevue.
Yes, go to the Cinemark in Bellevue. It's 21 and up, just FYI. But yeah.
Oh, well, I think my passport is still good.
Okay. There you go.
Oh gosh, I just love this. You know, I am so proud of you, and as many other people in your village.
Yes, thank
and
you.
I think probably the best thing about you through all the experiences that you've had is you're still you. And I just think that's fantastic. And given your background and the love that you have, I think you always will be you. And we love you, honey.
Oh,
we love you.
Well, I come from, an extremely talented family.
You do.
It's like everybody's talented.
That's very true.
Everyone has something, so it keeps me humble. Everybody's so good at something.
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
So it's about time for me to wrap this up.
Okay.
The name of the movie is Spirited, by the way, and
Yes.
She got the opportunity to work with Octavia Spencer too.
Yes.
I'm like,
Auntie Octavia. No, the movie is Spirited. It's an Apple TV Plus film, and it's starring Ryan Reynolds, Will Ferrell, and Octavia Spencer. And I do want to say, in reference to what you're saying, like those three are all incredibly wonderful, generous human beings. Super famous, super talented, but extremely kind, along with everyone involved in the film. Chloe is the choreographer, founder of Syncopated Ladies. Her associates, Ava Mitchell and Martha Nichols. It was directed by Sean Anders. It's just everyone involved, like 10 out of 10 human being.
Right. I love it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yay.
I will hopefully see you when you come to town.
I hope so. Yes.
And I just want my audience to know that I thank you for being here every week. And I also thank my songstress, Miss Patrice Isley. She blessed me with her music.
Oh, work.
Yes. And also Adunde Festival is tonight. no, tomorrow night. That's Saturday. Tomorrow night at 5 p.m. at the Rainier Arts Center. And I want you all to be safe. Have a great weekend. Live your life like it's golden. The coronavirus special edition is up next. Bye, Pamela.
Mwah.
I love you.
Love you.